Welcome everyone to the stream, Voices of Terminus show number 12. Topic today is class discussion, Dialord, fully speculative of course, as we have no real info about the Dialord per se. And I'm going to start off by introducing the people that are with me. We have by frequent request, Delinzia with us again. Say hello, Delinzia.
Hello, everybody.
And today we have Leksur on the show, who is dying to talk about the Dialord. And say hello, Leksur.
Hey, everybody. Now I'd like to ask who's been requesting Dal?
Yeah, who's been requesting me?
And in the background, as usual, we have Kodiack. Say hello, Kodiack.
Good afternoon.
And we will kick it off with the Dialord. So, the Dialord. Legend speaks of Dialords capable of mastering the crippling power of fear, with some able to manipulate the essence of living things, even their very blood. And as you can see on the stream, we have questions, and I'm going to go quickly read through these questions. So, how close to Shadow Knight do we think the Dialord will be? What difference should the Dialord have towards other tanks? Faint Death. How would you like to see the Dialord look, equipment-wise, armor-wise, etc.? Spell speculation and difference in threat management towards the other tanks are some of the questions we have, what we're going to go through today. And we're going to go and pass it on to Lex, because he's been really waiting to get into this. And we're just going to be here to look good. Obviously, you know, the two good-looking guys are on the left of your stream. And off you go, Lex.
Well, I think it's safe to say that with the background of the Visionary Realms team, a lot of them are coming from EverQuest, and obviously Rad. Safe to assume that we're going to see an awful lot of influence from the Shadow Knight from old EverQuest. Don't know about EverQuest 2, but you never know. So we can assume that they're going to be a hybrid tank. Probably more in the terms of offensive than defensive. And I'm not really sure what we're going to see in terms of special abilities, but I would like to see something a little different for once. But I think it's safe to say we're going to see a very large amount of influence from the original Shadow Knights, which makes me super excited.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I mean, when you think about it, Shadow Knight, Dialord, even though it's a completely different name and everything, it kind of interclines with it. Shadow Knight, Dialord, it just kind of matches.
Oh yeah. I mean, basically the stereotypical Black Knight.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, the guy who he rides up on his steed and you just go, nope, goodbye.
A fiery nightmare.
Yep.
So, we're basically kind of, you know, we've gone into it. Shadow Knight is obviously what we kind of think they're going to be aiming for. We traditionally know from EverQuest, and, you know, I don't know if Vanguard had one, and I didn't get to play it that much. I don't think they did. But we can go into the next question, because that's kind of be a really good discussion here. Is what difference should the Dialord have towards other tanks? What would make him, or what should be his role as a tank, and what would make him different?
Well, from what we can gather right now, we've got 3 possible tanks. We can go ahead and say 4 if we include Monk, which is complete speculation. We have no idea. Which means we have your basic all-around mitigation monster, the warrior. Got your hybrid knight or hybrid whatever kind of class tank. So you got your Dire Lord and your Crusader, which is going to be, you're going to give up some raw mitigation and survivability for extra utility. And then if we assume Monk, then you've got your Avoidance tank, which is basically the polar opposite of your Warrior. Now, what we're going to probably end up seeing a lot in a raid aspect is Warriors are always going to take #1 main tank slot. Makes sense. That's where they belong. Your typical Warrior in almost every MMO is designed to, take 15 mace blows to the face and just keep on walking. He's just grit your teeth, go forward. Your typical hybrid knights are, yeah, I can take the hits, but I can also do everything here and do some of this. And, if shit hits the fan, I've got more to work with. So you're going to see probably your hybrid tanks really excel in a grouping situation or in an off tank where you have to pick up low hit point, basically trash mobs. You have to hold them. You have to hold them solidly for your group or your raid, but you only have to hold them for a short period of time. So it makes sense to not have so much survivability. And, of course, then you got your Monk who's just... I'm not a fan of avoidance tanks, so I won't even touch that.
I mean, we were talking earlier on, about the possibilities of what kind of roles we could technically have, because we broke it down basically to, at the moment, the way it looks, we have 12 classes, 3 being healer class, 3 being tank class, 3 being a scout class, and 3 being a mage class. And we kind of touched on the idea as well, if, let's take a look at all these different, these 4 different roles we have, and we break them down into 3 segments: offensive, defensive, and kind of in the middle. Now, if we kind of speculate on that, having the defensive tank class to the offensive tank class and the let's just say balanced tank class, how do you think that would look in that perspective? Where would you put the Shadow Knight from that viewpoint?
I would definitely put the Shadow Knight in the offensive.
Yeah, offensive.
I mean, I could see a Dire Lord doing stuff like buffing damage of a group, or just being much more offensive himself than, say, a Warrior or a Crusader. Where a Crusader, you think Paladin, you think the White Knight, the guy who does everything he can to protect people. And then you got the Dire Lord who's the Black Knight. All he wants to do is like, I don't care what it takes, I'm gonna slice his head off kind of guy. So in that respect, also touching on like the appearance stuff, I can see him being a very offensive looking tank as well.
Yeah.
Well, you could go versus heals versus life taps. I mean, that's a perfect example. Yeah. Paladins can heal other people. Shadow Knights, they get life taps. They can only heal themselves. So
right, and they do damage while they do that. So they take something that's offensive in nature and giving it a defensive twist because they gain hit points.
I mean, that's what kind of always...
Shadow Knight always had the ability.
Yeah, it always appealed to me.
Shadow Knight always had the ability to harm touch.
Yeah.
Harm touch, and then they can also steal armor class, they can steal hit points, they can steal, all those other abilities from the mob.
I mean, I remember in EverQuest 2, towards the very end of EverQuest 2, it just became ridiculous how overpowered, the Paladin and the Shadow Knight were. I mean, the Shadow Knight was he could go into a dungeon and he would solo the whole thing. Because, he had life tap, he'd have tap veins, it'd have AEs that give him, the advantage towards, the more groups, the more monsters that he actually pulls, the more life he's going to get back and stuff. It just got really ridiculous. It was cool, and I would kind of like to see, these kind of aspects be in the Dire Lord, that he has this gothic, dark, mean, poisonous, touch to him, like he's always draining life, he can, pull it away, but also kind of be the protector of the group as well at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge balance issue, just because, like, I know, like, in EQ2, when I played with Shadow Knight, with your Infectious Cloud, that also healed you. The more mobs you had, the bigger the heal was, so you really wanted to round up as much as you could You're like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. Let me pull 17 more infectious cloud, full health, and keep going.
Yeah.
You know. So that's going to be a balance issue. But I think in almost all the EQ1, EQ2, you know, eventually once you get so high a level, Paladins and Shadow Knights can pretty much do whatever they want. So
yeah. The biggest challenge in balancing a class like the Dire Lord or a Shadow Knight is the fact that you have a character that's defensive in nature and you're giving him offensive abilities. So the key is going to be to make his abilities, while offensive, more defensive nature. So like your life tap, maybe it's instead of hitting for 1200, it hits for 600, but it gives you, you know, a little bit more than what you did in damage back. So it's more of a heal than it is actual damage. So again, you're still offensive in nature as compared to a Crusader, but because of the way your ability works, you are considered offensive.
Right, so in EverQuest 2, I don't know how it was in EverQuest originally, but the Shadow Knight, you know, I pictured the Shadow Knight basically not holding a two-handed sword, but holding a tower shield and a massive greatsword in the other hand. In EverQuest 2, they had it split. You could have like a two-handed weapon that would give you a bit more damage and stuff. How would you like to see the Dire Lord be when it comes to weapons?
Well, I think, you know, your standard sword and shield is a given because that screams a knight, you know, in almost every respect. Because they're offensive in nature, I would love to see two-handers be a viable source of equipment, if only for the fact that will give you flexibility because you're an offensive tank. You could technically take the role of a DPSer by strapping on a two-hander.
Yeah, and once you gain the ability to two-hand bash, there was really never any reason to ever equip a shield after that.
Right.
There's a good question in chat actually that I want to bring in right now, and I actually totally agree. Would the Dire Lord rely on living creatures and be fairly useless, i.e. cannot drain undead creatures? I think that should actually be like that. Because
with the
it's dead.
Speculations and blood magic.
Yep.
Like I was gonna go really in depth into blood magic.
I mean,
try to speculate on that.
I mean, it's bones. It's dead. Yeah, you know, or it's a ghost. It's dead. What's he going to drain there?
I think it should be able to do more damage to the undead.
Yeah.
But be able to do something cool with blood magic for the living.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would like to see. Well, and coming from the Dire Lord's corner here, I'm cool with saying that I'm better against living than dead creatures. I'm perfectly fine with that. Just don't make me feel like everything I do is pointless. Like my life tap, if it turns that into a direct damage spell instead of a heal, because there's no life there.
Yeah, you're fighting a rock golem. There's no blood
like
in that
it's
thing.
fine. I'm still hitting him. I'm still doing damage. I'm still useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they should also keep some of the classic things like from EverQuest. They were able to summon like a weak skeleton pet, summon players' corpses to the zone as long as they're in the same zone. Some of those things, because I think like a Dire Lord should have maybe some control over some of the undead, but not too overpowerful. Where because obviously they're these are dead creatures, so the only thing I could see him being able to do is like summon. The dead, perhaps things like that.
Yeah.
That's his ability.
The skeleton pet in EQ1A was either light blue, green, or gray to you, so it really did nothing except for get in the way when you're trying to frickin' pull. So I never used it at all.
Yeah.
Neither did I. Not until I got to the point where I had so many AAs, I was drowning in them, and I got like the pet hold ability.
Yeah.
So that he wouldn't come running when I pulled something. And even then, I would watch my damage output window, and every now and then he'd hit for like 25.
See, and I think I personally, like we were talking about the summoners, right? I would rather see that stupid skeleton pet be more of a familiar that maybe does something for the group. He follows me around. He doesn't actually do anything, doesn't cause any threat, doesn't whatever, but maybe he does some type of, life, a proc or something, like we were talking about with the familiar with the damage shield, something like that helps everybody or does something.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I would love to see something like a Dire Lord specific quest line that gives you a familiar, and he can just sit there and put damage shields on you, or he can attack what you're attacking, just small little direct damage nukes or something of that manner. Just something a little different. Like, yeah, I'm squishier than a warrior, but if I'm all decked out and I really put in the work, I can be
turn
pretty close.
turn your familiar into a Vanguard Blood Mage.
Right.
So it actually, all it does is it steals life and gives it back to the group. It doesn't do anything else but that.
Just to jump in real quick, there's no stupid questions while with you, Wolf, but I will read it out and I'll go and explain. Is Dire Lord like alive themselves and just summon dead things, or are they dead as well? Well, technically they are
dead.
Are dead, but they are not, because if we look at the races, you're either a Darkmere, you're either an ogre, a human, an elf, a dwarf, or whatever. So you are not dead. No,
you're alive.
You're alive.
You went to school and you got
just
the
look,
abilities.
You just look mean.
Class.
You know, you just look mean.
Yeah.
You just stole it. You're kind of like a necromancer, like the EverQuest one. You're kind of like a necromancer slash warrior.
You're a warrior and a baby necro. Really, all
Pretty
there is
much.
to it.
What it comes down to, really, it's just a mix.
I would like to see a little more variation than, like, say, the way EverQuest 1 works. If you were a level 20 Shadow Knight, you were technically a level 10 Necro. So you could use everything that a Necro could use up to level 10.
Spells. Because I
in terms of spells, I would like to see Dire Knights
going to the Necro vendor to buy my Shadow Knight spells. Like, that was stupid, you know.
Kind of look at it like as almost like a vampire in a sense.
Yeah.
You're living but dead.
My brain fart, guys. Shadow Knight. Shadow Knight. Shadow and a Knight. Now, wouldn't it be cool? Now, I just think about this.
That's an oxymoron, huh?
That your Dire Lord basically could cast a spell where he creates like a second self of him, but it can't be attacked. It's there for a short period of time. It is a shadow, so it's like an illusion, kind of.
Oh, like EQ2 Enchanter did.
Yeah, something like that. Basically,
Yeah,
it would be an illusion. So the monsters would attack you, and all of a sudden you cast your Dire Lord or Shadow Knight spell that basically clones you, and now it's all of a sudden like, which one of these guys is now the real target? Because technically, all this time, these freaking, let me think, 12 years I've been playing, EverQuest 2 and all that lot. I just figured it out. Shadow Knight, that's what you should have had from the freaking start. That would have made him awesome. Cloning ability, and it's like, whoa, distraction.
I would happily give up 10 or 20% of my hit points for something like that.
Well, if you're talking about back to like the NPC dispositions or whatever, that would actually fall really cool into something like that. So that way it would trick the NPCs to attack the shadow form versus the real form. Maybe you could probably even use it as some form of crowd control too.
Exactly, because if you look at it, we've had that in raids as well, where a raid monster would automatically disappear and he'd come back and there'd be 3 of them. And you'll be like, right, which one is it? You have to figure that out first to find out which one it is. So why can't that work both ways towards a group or a raid as well?
One's a shadow, one's a fart. You can't figure it out.
Exactly, because like you said, the NPC behaviors and dispositions, we should have that as well. We should have behaviors and dispositions. Like Kilson said yesterday, it might happen that all of a sudden you bash on the monster and he thinks, right, that punch freaking hurt. I'm out of here. No, why can't we
attach it to a proc or something?
Yeah,
so like a mob punched you and then it procced 3 of you.
That'd be
that'd be really neat too.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would really like to see, if we're going to take stuff from the Shadow Knight, we're going to assume life taps.
Definitely.
And what I would really like to see is I would like to see health over time.
Yeah.
I'm not direct damage.
Yeah, I'm more toward the over time spells, because I think the Shadow Knight, like in EverQuest, it's more of a damage over time spell. The way they worked.
If you take it from lore, the Dire Lord wants to watch his target suffer.
So.
Yeah, so
Definitely.
Dialer's going to want to sit there and watch him suffer. So obviously, over time is kind of the key thing there.
Right,
Life
real,
tap is taking
hang on,
hit points
guys.
from the mob and giving it back to yourself.
Right, just to quickly butt in, what's life tap? To answer that, basically, you would hit the monster, and technically you would take life from him. You basically just cast your spell, and you would drain blood from him like a vampire.
Yeah, but
like
see, that goes back to the blood magic thing, right? I think you should only be able to life tap live things, but do more damage to undead things.
Yep, and I would be behind that 100%.
Well, it just makes sense. It's yes, it's a game. Yes, it's fantasy and everything, but even to that point, even if it is fantasy, do not make it stupid. If I'm a Dire Lord or whatever, and I kill this skeleton or hit this skeleton, what life am I going to drain from the undead?
Well, it's none. But because you're a Dire Lord, though, because you control the dark essence, you definitely can do more damage.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you understand how undead creatures are created, so you can essentially deal more
damage to
them. Have more influence towards them. Yeah.
Balance, right? Hey, if I want to be massively offensive, guess what? I'm going to go to an undead cemetery and just slaughter shit, but it takes away my healing abilities because I'm in an undead area.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, it takes down. Say your life tap might get a little weak because you're in a dead zone. The only thing you can actually tap now is just the essence that's animating the dead. That magical essence.
Okay, next, here's one thing. Day versus night. Should you have more powerful shit at nighttime than you would in the day?
That's a super interesting idea.
Yeah.
I don't know how it would actually stand up. I'd definitely be willing to try it.
I think that'd be interesting because I think that'll bring balance to the classes because the warrior is the ultimate the warrior class. So, and some folks always thought Shadow Knights were kind of sneaking up and kind of stealing, but in a sense not really because the Shadow Knight was kind of squishy too.
Or give them cool abilities like some type of a sneak or you run faster at night because you're vampires zipping around whatever. Any of that would be pretty cool.
Well, Feign Death. I mean, Feign Death spell was one of the things that Shadow Knight was able to do. So that was kind of a cool thing unique to the Shadow Knight. Warrior couldn't Feign Death, but a Shadow Knight could, and the monks.
Well, it's like one thing that I really. I'm like I said, I've played almost every kind of tank except for the goody two shoes kinds. And one thing that always kind of bugged me about Feign Death with a Shadow Knight was the fact that I'm supposed to be this big, bad, freaking evil Black Knight, and here I am playing chicken. So my Feign Death should be targetable to my group members, so I can be like, "Oh, the cleric, you're dead now," and I'm going to fight to the death.
That would be
cool.
That
would be an interesting twist. I could see that where the Dire Lord could actually tap your life essence and make it look like you're dead, but you're not. That would be a cool spell. That would be something different.
I can still save the group. I have more meaningful wipe protection, but at the same time, I'm a Dire Lord. I'm not no little sissy crusader.
Exactly.
I'm fighting to the death.
Yeah, I mean that is it. Exactly. You're a tank. You are meant to get bashed.
Do that? Feign Dead the group or something?
In EverQuest 2 they could.
Yeah.
EverQuest 1 you can Feign Death.
No. I'm talking about Feign Deathing other people. I think the EQ2 monk was able to do that.
Yeah, EQ2 had a group Feign Death. EverQuest 1 was just a self-targetable spell.
Yeah, I think make it a targetable thing where you can Feign Death the group. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like, we're definitely going to die. Our ranger died, our mage or summoner died. Well, Belinzi is still here. He's a cleric. Well, you're dead now, and I'm just going to do what I can.
Like, oh shit, I'm getting my ass beat. Let me FD the cleric so that way he can jump up after it res everybody. That's actually a super cool idea.
I mean, think about it. If I'm the cleric and he's at the front, you guys are you're doing something there, and all of a sudden ad comes along or whatever. Nobody's paying attention. I'm getting beat on, and I'm trying to do stuff, and I've got aggro and everything, and he can't get the aggro off me because he's busy. So he just goes FD, boom. And aggro goes away from me, and he comes towards him. Boom! I stand back up, dust myself off, and then
or give the Dire Lord the ability to Feign Death the entire group, and and for like a 10-second time or whatever, just whatever they decide to do for a balance, maybe perhaps give them the ability to do this last-minute ditch effort to try to take down a mob before it actually wipes the group. It's like a last-ditch superpower, smack, and before you like actually die too.
Well, they had that in EverQuest too.
So
the Shadow Knight could feign death the entire group.
But I'm saying it's a last-ditch spell that you wouldn't want to use all the time. It's like a last-ditch to feign death the entire group. You get super powered, and you try to smack this mob, and if you kill it, cool. If you don't, guess what? Then the group actually dies.
That would actually, that's actually a pretty good idea. And let's think
you're taking the life essence out of all your group members.
Exactly, that's it. That is actually a very good idea, because having feint death for the entire group, no. Not to that point that everybody falls down and we stand back up, dust ourselves off, and carry on.
No,
it should be the way you say. We don't have to necessarily die, but what could happen is he gives us a feint death, boom, we get knocked over, and we're there. He gets life from us, basically a bonus of, like, if we've got 50% health, he can grab from that 50% of our health, so he gets 25. We're dropped down. Now, that spell lasts for a minute or whatever, so he's on his own. A minute long. Deal with it, dude. Die or don't.
Take someone down with me.
And it ends up hurting him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can take this. Like, I know from EverQuest 1, it made sense for a Shadow Knight to be able to feign death because they were Necros, technically. Just Necros in armor. So, they had the spell. But it always bugged me because it made me feel like I was a chicken shit. And being able to feign death of another person, even if it's just one, just to make sure that it stays absolutely balanced and an absolute emergency ability.
Yeah.
Just like feign death to cleric. Okay, we're going to get reses.
What's the paladin one? Heal, hand of whatever. They had that massive heal, or they could do
lay
it
on
once
hands.
an hour.
Yeah.
Lay on hands. There we go. Yeah. It'd be something like that. Like you can, you get into trouble, you can feign dead your cleric. If everybody else,
they would replace the typical Shadow Knight harm touch with a feign death other, I'd be cool with that.
I mean, the only reason I didn't, I've always kind of like been in the middle with feint death. I love it, but at the end of the day, I don't, because it kind of, it was a cheat. To be honest with you, it was a freaking cheat. In raids, the monk would go and run off, and hey guys, I'm gonna go and run off, and I'm just gonna go in FD when we're at the area where we want to go. So just make sure you stick on my bum, follow me, and when we get there, I'm just gonna FD, and the monsters will disappear. Don't make it that simple. Like Leksur said, it shouldn't be, hey guys, do we want to go and run through this again? If we screwed up, then tough luck, we'll have to do it again. Pay attention.
Well, feign death was nice to have, because what you could do is you could actually split up a bunch of mobs so you wouldn't get super overwhelmed.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be the Shadow Knight's job. That should be the monk's job.
Right.
I'm not labeling any particular. I'm just saying feign death in general was a nice thing to have, because you could split up the mobs, and you could actually tactically control the situation and use strategy.
Break up camps.
Yes.
All the time.
So it is a very useful tool. There are certain limitations that could even be put on the monk's ability because it's been abused so much.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, even thinking about like an ability that would, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit here, that would take hit points from my group to boost me somehow. Whether it be AC, my attack power, whatever. I think that'd be pretty cool. That would make things interesting because you get a really tight spot. You'd want to use that ability, but you really be like, but I can't, because if I do, then all of a sudden the rogue's gonna die. And
yeah,
I just think that if a tank runs into a room, right, and grabs 3 or 4 mobs, he should bring those 3 or 4 mobs back to the group, right? If you wanted a specialized pull, get a bard, get a monk, get a necro, get an enchanter. Those types of people that could control the situation. It shouldn't be the job of the tank. But that's just me.
No, I agree. I've done my share of tank pulling as a warrior and a Shadow Knight and a monk once. And I can safely say that while I was pulling, I would always pull 2 or 3 as a warrior or a Shadow Knight. I knew what I was in for. And in EverQuest 1, my grouping experience was much more rewarding with my warrior near the end than it was with my Shadow Knight, because if I made a mistake, if I was an idiot, I could just feign death, so I didn't pay as much attention as I did on my warrior, where if I made a mistake, I learned damn quickly not to do it again.
Yeah. Alright, so I think we kind of, we've gone through that. Do we still need to talk about Faint Death, guys, or...?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything.
I think we covered it, yeah. So I'm going to go into the next one, because I know that you want to get into it as well, Leksur. We've talked about this kind of on and off. How would you like to see the Dialord look? Meaning, how should his equipment be? And go on, Lex. I know you want to really...
Oh boy, do I ever. Dire Lords, Black Knight, Shadow Knight, whatever you want to call them. They just scream, I'm an evil SOB, I'm intimidating, see me and run. But why don't I ever look like that? I mean, even in EverQuest, I didn't look intimidating. It was just, oh look, I kind of look like the Guardian or the Warrior or the Paladin, but I have a fancy life app.
Yeah, but I think that goes back to like what Kilson was saying yesterday about class-specific armor versus like if you picked up a copper breastplate off of a mob and you equipped it, yeah, it's going to look like the same breastplate that a warrior would equip or a paladin would equip, right? But if you have a specialized class-specific chest piece for a Dire Lord, it should look freaking epic.
Absolutely.
I like what Josh and Monk said in chat, a cloud of dark mist emanating from the Dire Lord. I think that'd be kind of cool in animation. Every time you walk, you leave like maybe smoky footprints or something like that.
Guild Wars 2 has that when you have that whatever weapon. My son has a bunch of them, and he runs around and I'm like, leaving little trails of,
I'd take that though. I'd take that though to be something, that is towards the end game, like you gradually you would advance the way you look, and at the end you get this awesome particle effect going, or when you're walking and stuff. It shouldn't be a given from the start.
An epic weapon in Guild Wars 2.
So
once you get your epic weapon, then you have that footstep ability thing. And that's how that's actually how you can tell if that person has the epic weapon or not, is because of their footsteps.
I would just like to see my character kind of evolve. Like it's like, I go from wearing chainmail to a copper breastplate to an iron breastplate. So really, just my colors have changed when I went to the metal or to the plate. Okay, woo, big deal.
Yeah, with awesome skulls and
put a design on there or something.
Just looking like armor with like ribs, actually ribs in the armor. Yeah. That would look, really threatening, and badass.
When I get way down there, or way up in the levels. Then we can get into the point where it's like, your breastplate looks like a rib cage and stuff. I mean, cool.
Yeah, more intimidating looking.
Armor progression, just like we were talking about. The pet progression. I think armor progression too. The higher level you are, the cooler the armor should look.
And let's bring it in, because we're talking about how they should look and everything. Let's bring in our off-topic, just off-channel, talk what we did yesterday.
Right.
Yes. Armor should look freaking awesome, and it should look unique for every class, but let that be something crafters do.
Yeah, you craft it or you earn it somehow.
Exactly.
Well, I think you going that way, crafters should be able to make some cool armor and stuff like that, but I think ultimately, to make the Shadow Knight or each class look super badass in the end, they should have like an epic type armor set for like an epic quest.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because what you craft in the game should be really cool and awesome, but ultimately you should be able to collect this like ultimate cool set that makes your character
but throughout the game,
awesome.
throughout the game,
like in EQ1, you have to go talk to somebody, go collect something, then go craft something, then go collect something, then go talk to somebody, then go craft something. You know what I'm saying? So it integrates crafting into the bigger story.
What I'm basically saying is, for the normal content throughout the game, before you get to the end steps of your end level content and stuff, crafters should be made important, and they should have the ability to make us look cool and stuff like that. And then at the end, if you want to look really cool, you want to be the SOB, and people are going to go like, wow, this guy has done stuff, he's been places, he has seen it all. You go and do your epic stuff. But crafters should definitely get, when it comes to armor and stuff like that, we need to make crafters really important, because the stuff we're crafting now in games is rubbish.
Right.
It's worthless.
Now, let's say Dell becomes a blacksmith, and I went to weaponsmithing or whatever, and he's got this, just, he can make your breastplate look like this, looks like a skeleton's ribcage. I don't care what his price is, I'm getting that. End of story.
Yeah.
Because I look at that and go, yes, 1,000 times yes, give it to me.
Yeah, and what you could do too to make crafters more important, you could do a kind of a split off in the crafter system too, where, like, say you got an armor smith, but I can go an evil, darker side of armor smith, and I can go a good side of armor smith.
Specialize,
so now the crafter can specialize in 2 different types, evil or good.
Yep.
That would make it even more interesting in the game, because people can work with the different materials they're getting.
I thought we were going to do a crafting special, but that's okay. You guys
We are.
into crafting?
We're going to have it. We're going to have it.
We're going to have it.
We're going to have
I'm
it.
giving you an example of what you could do to kind of see. I'm already starting hinting toward crafting.
Yep.
But it would make it to where players are even more unique in the crafting ability, in the crafting sense, that crafters have different progression lines too, that they could craft the armor and stuff.
Well,
into your phone down.
We're basically the
Excuse me
reason.
one sec, folks.
The reason we brought this up is basically because we've been talking about this off and on for the last couple of weeks. We are definitely going to be doing a complete segment for crafting, which is going to be maybe 2-3 shows, because we have a lot of stuff in the pipe that we want to get out to you, but we wanted to bring it in because we need to start talking about this, guys. We need to start talking about crafting ideas, because crafters have been left in the dark for far too long. Let's make crafters great again. Okay?
Yeah, so we're still going to do our normal weekly class discussions, but we might throw in a crafting special here and there.
Oh, yeah. But, to get back into how to make them look and evolve their look through the leveling process, you can just do simple things like, you have your little dark aura around you. It gets darker or a little wider every 10 levels or something, maybe at level 30, all of a sudden now you're leaving little shadow footprints, just a couple steps, nothing big. Maybe your skin gets whiter, your eyes go white, It's just change the tint of my skin as I level up, remove the color from my hair no matter what I chose. Make the customization of my eyes, make them completely white or black, that's as I level, cool. Just because right there, I'll go to my character selection and I'll be like, oh my god, look at me.
Essence, as you level, you're basically losing life essence, and the dark is consuming you.
Yeah, or you're being corrupted. Who knows what way they want to take it. There's just all these little tiny things that you can do to make your character change over time. You'll play it, say you sit down from level 1 to 10 in one sitting. You look at your character and you're like, is he paler? No. Wait, does he got a little bit of a mist around his... Is that just the outline of him?
You guys...
I must be losing my mind.
You guys will remember Stargate Atlantis, the Wraith?
Yep.
That's what he should look like at the end.
There you go. Without the freaky hand.
Alright, so... Anything else? Anybody else want to pitch in about the look, what they think?
I don't know. I just think they should be badass looking, evil, mean, and vicious looking, and if in a way they're described, they should instill fear. So definitely have some fear spells, but also look fearsome when you actually look at them as they progress.
Well, yeah, like the same thing. Like I think that a lot of games, they have armor progression. So like as you get older, the armor looks cooler and cooler and cooler. Yeah. But I like that idea. Like why don't they make me look cooler? I take more of the essence of that class specialization, and or my pet gets cooler and cooler as I level. There's so many ways that they can make it better as you go on.
We know there's other games in the pipeline that are they've actually made it so that your character gets older as you level, so they could technically do that as well, because we've been talking about that. You start off young, handsome and everything, so for the Dire Lord specifically, he wouldn't look young, handsome and stuff like that, but he would basically like a Jedi becoming, going over to the dark side. He would, he'd be good, and then he'd gradually start to fade away and become really mean and rough.
Would go from blue to red.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you take SWTOR into consideration, when you went through the story, as you made progressively worse decisions, your character changed. He got pale. His face got covered in dark veins, and his eyes went red.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That was one of the main reasons that I kept playing the game as long as I did.
Right. So
because it's like
character
felt
awesome. You kind of like drying out like a kind of like a raisin as you get further in level. Your flesh, your blood starts kind of like drying out.
Yeah, like turn you into a lich or something. Make you look kind of like a lich.
Yeah.
Or a revenant or whatever they're called.
Well, let's get into the cool stuff now, guys, because you've got it all laid out already. Spell speculation for the Dire Lord. We know that we want Faint Death. We know we want kind of like Live Tap and stuff like that. That's a given. Yeah. We know that he should be working with poisons and stuff like that. But let's get into it. You've got something written down, so are you guys ready for this? This is gonna be awesome. Go for it, Lex.
All right, go for it.
This is something I've been wanting in an MMO for a dark or a Black Knight kind of thing. I've been wanting this for years, and no one's ever given it to me. Where the hell is my aura? Like a paladin. Paladins in D&D have auras. Well, I'm an anti-paladin. Where the hell's my aura? And it can do tons of things. I mean, you can have the aura buff you or the people around you, or, there's just unlimited. And those buffs can be anything from damage, shield, all hit point buff, armor class, you name it. Or you can turn that into a debuff for the enemies around you. And not necessarily like I stand next to you, you take damage. It can make him more vulnerable to damage. Or make him more vulnerable to spells. You could even, because you are a Dire Lord and you can manipulate their blood, make their blood, and I know this is kind of stretching it a bit, make their blood thicker and give them a very small, slow effect.
Yeah.
Like not even close to what a shaman would do.
That's why I said blood magic, I think, should play a huge part in the Dire Lord. Blood magic.
Doyton said instill fear aura. Also a cool idea.
Yeah. I mean, because we have the dispositions, you could technically use your aura to change their disposition in combination with the mob's hit points. And instead of running at 10%, he runs at 40 now. Because the Dire Lord is just like, oh my god, I need to run away.
Well, another spell speculation I was thinking like Avatar, where they have the blood, the water benders, but they have the blood benders, Like being able to control, maybe for a short period of time, some type of a crowd control-ish type thing, but being able to control bend blood or whatever,
Yeah. Or you could, I mean, if giving a tank a lot of crowd control isn't a good, if they decide it isn't a good idea, then you could turn it into a small stun.
Even if it's just like a stun, like you cast it and everybody freezes because they're not like golems and stuff wouldn't freeze because they don't have blood. Undeads wouldn't freeze because they don't have blood. But any living creature that has blood, when you cast that, maybe they freeze for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they run in straight fear, like completely drives all, like it's a fear spell that you could cast that would like drive everything away from the group. I mean, an epic spell that you could actually cast and every mob goes running, because a Dire Lord's supposed to instill fear.
Yeah.
So let's scare everybody off the battlefield. You have an ability that just can shock the crap out of everything and it all takes off. It doesn't even want to come back.
Imagine that
it just goes.
That's cool.
Imagine that in the night. In the night, we're walking. We know that this forest is really, really dangerous, but we've heard that in this forest is a chest with an awesome sword. But there's, we're too small. There's too many monsters. So let's go and grab ourselves a Shadow Knight with his aura, and he walks into this forest with us, and we're like, "Yep-y-doo-dah," and he casts this aura, and it just fears the hell out of all these monsters. And we just walk in there, really nice, grab the reward, and go, "Happy days! Look at this, guys."
But it only can fear the living shit. It can't fear
obviously.
Undead stuff, because undead stuff
Yeah.
doesn't affect it.
Yeah.
You know,
Only living, and there would have to be a very strict diminishing return on it so that it isn't overpowered. I mean, the first time, sure, yeah, they run away. The second time, maybe not. Maybe some of them do. And when those guys come back, yeah, you got to deal with them now.
Yeah,
Well, it's like
damage against undead and being able to control and life tap and everything the living, you know.
Yeah.
But then, you know, like
I'm only
the
joking,
fear,
guys.
the fear spell wouldn't actually work on your dead. It works on like all your living stuff, or like say your animated elementals and stuff like that. Your golems, you could fear them.
Yep.
But ultimately, what happens is when the Dire Lord walks into a dead zone, the Dire Lord, believe it or not, actually tracks the dead.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yes.
He
Yes.
is the man. See, because he's a Dire Lord, he he's like the Necromancer. You can control dead, but the Dire Lord is actually the Lord over the dead, so to speak.
They sense your presence and they're drawn to
so
you.
they're drawn to him.
Yeah.
He brings the dead in. So
That's
now it makes him,
interesting. I don't know
that's
if
what
that would
makes
be
him
more
fear.
of a hindrance to a group.
That's what makes him more fearsome, is that he can actually draw the dead, so the dead will start going, hey, I sense this guy's over here, and it starts actually drawing, but he draws it to him, so he's actually going to be more vulnerable to the dead because they're actually coming to him.
Yeah.
I like that tracking
Directly
skill.
to him.
Yeah, the tracking skill, but just for undeads.
Yeah, you could even just do something like undead have a larger aggro radius to a Dire Lord, and also have increased threat towards them.
I was gonna say threat, yeah. Like
Yeah.
when you're grinding with the group, yeah, you hold threat a lot better against undeads.
That would basically be the balance, because you obviously would do more damage towards the undead and everything like that. You also attract them, so you know they have a higher aggro radius towards you and everything. You know you're not safe anywhere you go when there's undead around. So that's kind of like a good way to balance it as well through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you take the pros with the cons, you know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like I do more damage to the undead. The undead hate me beyond belief, kind of thing. So I can hold threat.
It's not
super
even
easy.
hate; it's just they're drawn to you.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, well,
of
yeah, I
your
just use
aura.
hate for general.
Because your
Like-
presence, you're just
Yeah.
attracting him in the zone. So anything dead's like, hey, whoa, this dude's here. You know, and of course there'll probably be like a cutoff for your aura. You know how far out your aura will actually affect the dead, because you might have other Shadow Knights in the zone too that are actually attracting, or dire Lords that are attracting, the dead as well. So you don't think of it as like a zone-wide effect, but kind of like
I could just picture it now
an area
down.
effect.
I could picture it now down. You got like Shadow Knight here, and I'm walking down this road, and all of a sudden you got Shadow Knight in front of me coming my way, going, run away, not that way, dude. And whoop, you see this freaking horde of undead coming, following him behind.
Heck
Like,
yeah.
whoa!
That's fearsome. It'd scare me.
Yeah, whoops!
It'd be like
At that point, I'd be like, why did I suggest Feign Death not be for myself?
I think that'd be really cool, though. I think he attracts the dead more than anything.
That makes absolute sense. So VR, if you're out there listening,
that's a great idea.
we definitely that has to be a must. That's a given. We get this. If we get anything, if you do listen and you take our ideas, we get this. Okay, we want that. That is absolutely amazing idea.
Yep.
Good on you, Dow.
Even just add it as a drawback to a certain aura. If you can swap different auras.
Oh, and you have
Like-
time.
Yeah,
we don't
when
need
you
it.
have this
We don't need it
extra-
now. Just keep it in the back. Something you can concentrate on.
Write that on a board somewhere,
Yep.
so it's not forgotten.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
any other spells, dude?
Well, I basically just got some little ideas on threat, like because you're a hybrid tank and you're designed basically for snap aggro and for shorter duration encounters. There's three types of threat to consider. You've got your very large amount of threat, but very large cooldown ability or spell. So that's your snap. You've got your, I would like to see threat over time, kind of like what they've done in EverQuest 1 with Warriors martial disciplines, where you use it on the mob and it actually gets like threat every couple seconds for so long. That would be great. And with that, you could, there's lots of flexibility. Maybe there's only one version of it allowed on a mob, but it's such a quick cast on that you could cast it on 4 things. Make it non-damaging, so you could do it to stuff that's being crowd controlled without breaking it. You could even make it stackable so that if shit really hits the fan, the point where your snap aggro doesn't pull it off of the cleric, you stack the crap out of this ability as fast as you can to pull it off, and it quite possibly could save the entire group. The other one would be, again, a long duration, but you add an AE element to it. And there's two ways to handle your AEs. You've got point blank AE, which is an area of effect around you as the center, or you've got target point blank AEs, so it's based upon your target's position and then everything around him. Both would be viable, both would be interesting, and I don't know which one I would like more. I see a lot of stuff about pets. That's another thing. I never really felt like Shadow Knight pets were even worth the effort. I mean, all you do is you click a button. They weren't worth the effort.
I mean, you could also have like an effect where you could actually capture, say, a few of the dead and turn them into, kind of minions, but not actually a pet. But you can actually take a short time, take control of them. They actually become your faction for a short period of time in combat.
Yeah. Well, I know you've played a lot of mages, so I'm sure you're very familiar with how swarm pets work. You get 6 or 7 little guys that do a lot of damage, but they only last 30 seconds. Why? Maybe a Dialord could do that with dead bodies around him.
Yeah. Take and create kind of minions all of a sudden, like a spell that'll give him like a 30-second minion rush or something like that, and then that's it. And it's got a cooldown or something.
Yeah, and that's also going to promote, camps like EverQuest 1. Because then you're going to be like, I always need to have a good source of dead bodies waiting for me, just in case.
True. Definitely true.
I would definitely trade that over having a permanent pet any day.
Yeah. That would be cool if they could animate the dead corpses on the ground. Like if I died and another group's there, and like while I'm trying to do my corpse run, they just animate my guy or something.
Oh yeah. And like kind of the opposite end of the spectrum from a feigned death. Say your cleric dies. Maybe you have a spell that can bring him back to life for 30 seconds.
Let's go one better. You just brought it up. Now, because you can, you attract the dead. Now, we didn't pay attention. We got beat up. I dropped down dead. You guys had to run, leg it. My corpse is now in the middle of this group of monsters, and they're undead, and I'm dead. I'm lying there. What about you being able to actually activate my corpse so it stands up, and the further you move back, because I would automatically be attracted to you, you could bring it into a kind of like a safer space?
That would be interesting. Kind of like, it's almost like a corpse retrieval.
Yeah.
Where you kind of raise him up, and then he acts as a pet for a short duration and follows you.
Yeah.
And then when it's over, he dies, and then you're safe to res him.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting. Yeah, that'd be an interesting spell effect. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it would kind of fit the lore and everything like that. It's, high utility. And it's just plain cool to be like, heh, I animated his dead body.
That would be awesome. They actually, the dead body, or not. Say your corpse can't actually stand up, but say like a aura actually appears and then it walks.
I know.
That'd be cool.
Just to clarify, you guys, I myself am a avid healer. I am not trying to take away, the healing ability of reviving the dead or anything. It's just something that fits towards the lore. It fits towards the background behind this class, because we are trying to look for things that bring more of the fantasy realism aspect towards it. Because
the Dialord couldn't actually resurrect anybody. He could just summon a corpse.
Exactly.
That was it. So you could actually walk the corpse to you, and then bam, the cleric had to heal or res you. So
it's essentially the same. You just have to be within range of the corpse.
Instead of an actual summon, the body actually gets up and walks. It would be cool.
He stands like a Jedi, or like the dark side, and he goes
wobble like a zombie too. Your corpse would be like a zombie corpse walking back.
I click on you, I cast it, and then your corpse just stands up and starts wandering towards us, that is the summon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, so anything else there, or can we move on to the next question?
I think I'm good.
Right,
We've already touched
on
our life taps.
That would be awesome.
Thanks for the follow, dude. This is going to be really cool. this is one question I really. This is my favorite question, right? Difference in threat management towards other tanks. Meaning, basically, not just how he would manage it, how it would, impact us as well. Because every tank class had their pros and cons towards, threat management. You had the Guardian or the Warrior who was, strong in single pulling, but when it came to groups, he got his butt kicked. The Paladins and the Shadow Knights, they were awesome with groups and basically all of it. Then you had the Berserkers and stuff like that, or the Monks. They could, they were a kind of mix and match. Threat management. What would, how would it be towards, how could it be different? How could it be more balanced? Because it wasn't really balanced with all these other games. I mean, the Guardian was always the one who got shat on, to be honest with you. Just because he had the highest mitigation and everything, he could withstand more, he had more health and everything. He was always shat on. Damage, DPS was rubbish. He couldn't really do he wasn't good in grouping stuff. He was only good for raiding.
All based on AAs
it was all
straight warrior. Yeah.
And how could we get this threat management and how could we make it look different but still work?
Well, because right now I'm on the Dire Lord train, but I've always been a tank. I really want to see warriors with more AE threat management. And it could be something as simple as like a whirlwind kind of spell from WoW, but that doesn't look so stupid. Where he just spins around with his blades, hits everybody, but that damage is directly added to threat. So, you're with a warrior, you understand that he can keep everything, not a problem. But you have to be able to pull things away from him in order to see it. Or there's still coordination that needs to happen here.
Mm.
With a Dire Lord, I would love to see more threat over time abilities. Because, like I said, with the Dire Lord, you're evil. You just want to watch your opponents wither, die, and suffer the whole way.
Yeah, more of a suffering. Yeah, more suffering than anything. Yeah, because that's what a Dire Lord does.
And he kind of thrived off pain. That's how you picture a Dire Lord. He loved getting beat up just as much as he liked spreading it, because he lived off of that.
Yeah, the whole Dire Lord.
So it makes sense.
Lore to it is.
It makes sense over time.
We're 4 feet to hell, but you're the one on the ground dead.
Now this gives me a really cool idea. You have your heal over times, direct heal, and warding heals for the 3 different classes. Druid would heal over time, the cleric would direct heal, and the shaman would ward you. Now, why can't we do that with tanks? Like you said, Dire Lord has aggro over time. So he clicks his taunt, boom, it goes over time.
Yep.
Spice
that
it up.
Within 30 seconds, he's got that thing locked down.
Yep.
And there's still flexibility that you can do. Like I said, you can make that ability non-damaging, so that you can do it on CC things as well, so that it can be put on multiple mobs at a time. Or you can make it single target but stackable. You could add damage to it. You could add a life drain to it. Sky's really the limit. And it's the same with every type of threat generation there is. If we continue along with our, the Crusader would be more of a single target, snap aggro kind of specialist.
Yeah,
but there's still a lot you can do with that.
Yeah, like Lord Exdor just said in chat, single target ability that can pull threat, but with longer cooldown, so it doesn't take away from the warriors.
Well, it's even take the threat as like an infection too for Dire Lords. So you threat one, and
it spreads.
But it spreads like an infection to the rest of the people over time.
Yeah.
Well, the Shadow Knight had that, didn't he? The Shadow Knight had that ability in EverQuest too. He would, I think it was Harm's Touch or whatever it was. He would, as long as the spell is active, and he draws in adds towards him, it would carry on to the next monster until that runs out or he dies.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember. It's right on the tip of my tongue.
He kind of had that.
It's just like, the Warriors got it all. He's got a good snap aggro. He's got a good aggro over time through just, beating the crap out of stuff. And he's got a decent AE. but I would like to see him more specialized in the AE manner of threat generation. And again, you can do it any way you want. But Dire Lord, I just want to see threat over time. And you can do whatever you want to it. Just make it straight threat over time. You can make it little damage, so it's a dot, like, boil blood or something like that from EverQuest 1. Or you can just make it a life leech spell that, while it's doing damage and giving me health, it's also giving threat to me from this character. Or you could even do something like, to continue on with the spreading idea, you cast it once on a guy, you use another ability which spreads it to everything around him. So that also requires coordination. You have your spread over time, but right there is your area of effect ability. Because everyone should have everything, just each tank type should specialize in their own manner.
I'm going to read off a question out of chat real quick. How about a main tank buff spell, Death Shroud, a percentage of the damage is siphoned from the Dire Lord?
Okay, so main tank buff spell, percentage of the damage is siphoned from me.
Yes.
So it would be technically, in essence, use my hit points as additional damage. The only drawback to that I could see, if I'm understanding this correctly, is that because you're a tank, you're getting the crap beat out of you all the time. Your health pool is going up and down, up and down, up and down. And it's one of your most precious resources, and you don't want to spend that. I would rather see something like maybe I sacrifice 5% of my group's hit points so that I can increase my damage. Or I could take their hit points and give it to myself. I mean, sky's the limit.
Right, guys, any other questions you want to shoot off in chat, do it now. And please write down your class that you want us to talk about. Now is the time to actually put it into chat. You get to vote today as well. Because I'm kind and graceful and a nice person in general.
Yeah. I like Dukin's idea there. Sorry if I slaughtered your name. Where a Dire Lord could pull more threat as the health goes down of your target. That's a neat idea too.
But like, you running away? Really? Hey, guess what? Come here. Anything else you guys want to talk about? You can talk, guys. Go on.
What?
Anything.
I just think the Dire Lord should be kind of like the king of the dead, almost in a sense.
Yeah.
Like
once he's on the battlefield,
should have been.
Because he's on the battlefield, he draws and attracts the dead, while necromancers tend to dabble in the dead and shit like that and raise the dead. The Dire Lord should be like the battlefield commander, so to speak.
Kodiack, your vote, your vote is void. You do not get to.
I get a vote.
No. You only get to vote. You only get to vote when we have a tie. Your vote is void.
Fine.
Yep.
No cheating.
I'm waiting. Who else is gonna vote? I mean, there's 16 people in the chat and only a few have answered. Come on, people. But yeah, I think that would be cool, though. I really would like to see the Dire Lord track the dead personally.
And it should be something that only he. And the same with titles as well. It should, that should be something the Dire Lord has. King of the Undead.
Yeah. I don't want to see him to just be a low-level necromancer in play.
No,
I want him to be his own.
No,
he should be like a command.
There's a lot they can do with the auras. There's, I think that, with the blood magic, you shouldn't be able to life tap, a golem or an undead thing. You should have some restrictions on it. Unlike, just running rampant, being able to life tap everything you see. That's not, realistic.
Right, voting ends in 15 seconds, guys.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Okay, done. Shaman it is.
Yep, it's Shaman. Yep, done. It's Shaman. I don't have to physically go in there and have a look. I can see it. It's Shaman. So we will be talking about the Shaman next time, which will be next Thursday.
Yes, our speculation. Speculation
yep.
Thursday.
Yeah, disclaimer, please, Dow.
Disclaimer, everybody, folks. We are speculating on Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen MMO. We are speculating on some of the ideas for classes and what we'd like to see. The developers do watch our channel. They might take some ideas from us. We've been told that they might have stolen some ideas from us, but we'll see. But the speculation is just speculation. We don't know. They're going to come out with their own twists and turns to some of the classes. However, maybe you guys participating with our channel, you'll actually throw some things out there that the devs will be like, hey, that's a great idea, and actually implement into the game. So remember, we're just speculating. This is not actually, we're not actually developers. We did have some viewers, believe it or not, think that we were developers on the team.
Yeah.
But
Sadly,
anyways,
no.
That's just
Disclaimer.
Sal's wish.
Yeah, that's wishful thinking.
hey guys, I forgot to tell you I got hired on. See y'all later. Find somebody else to take my spot.
Right, so guys, I think that kind of covers it. So we'll go into the closing statements, and we're going to start with Kodiack.
No, what I just said. Make it stronger against undeads. Blood magic can only work against things that have blood. Make it more realistic. I mean, that's pretty much it. Whatever.
All right, and Lex.
Well, although it's safe to assume that they're going to use the Shadow Knight from EverQuest 1, possibly even EverQuest 2 as a template, I would really like to encourage and hopefully see them break away from the traditional mold and go a little further with the ideas and make them their own class instead of just saying, instead of being a hybrid of a warrior and a necro, make me a dire lord. Make me unique, make me mean, and make me look freaking badass.
All right, Dal.
Really, like I said, I think my biggest thing that I feel good about here in the channel is that the Dire Lord, attracts the dead, man. He's like the king of the dead. He's the battlefield commander. He draws their presence. His aura, can he draw the dead while it puts fear and instills fear in the, the undead. So I really want to see that. I would like Leksur. I think it's it's cheesy going with the warrior / necromancer hybrid. I think let's make the Dire Lord something in its own, its own class. Put it there and make it special. I think those are some things that we discussed. I think could really make that a completely different thing and change the way MMOs work.
Yep, good, well said. And like you said, touch on. It's called Dire Lord, so make it unique. It's not a Shadow Knight, okay? It's a Dire Lord. You came up with that, like you said in the forums as well. You do not have Paladin, you have Crusader. So we expect the Crusader to be different as well. So you go with that. You've decided to call your class Dire Lord or Crusader and whatnot. Then make that something new. I mean, you've done it already with the races. You've come up with new ideas, new lore behind them, a new vision to what they should look like and everything. So make him, the Dire Lord, Death King. And with that, guys, we thank you all for joining us. And if you didn't actually catch our show yesterday, make sure you go to our YouTube channel, which is actually now being plucked to you in chat by Hydramod. Go there, watch our dev show, what we did yesterday with Kilson. It was absolutely awesome. A bit more information. There wasn't a lot of new stuff given there, but quite a few bits and bobs were cleared up. You might want to give that a watch. And we'll catch you next Thursday then, for sure. With
Shamans.
With Shamans, yep.
For Shaman.
And that'll be Kodiack talking then. He's finally gonna get to
I never get a webcam.
use his voice and get a webcam, and if you want to talk next week, you want to talk about Shaman and everything, you got to be in a camera.
See, Leksur granted, sit there and came on with a camera. Come on, Kodiack, grace our presence with your visualness.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, even though
make us bow.
Yeah, right.
Just because you're
Nobody
angel,
wants to see my messy office.
just because you're our
Leksur,
angel
he's got a
investor,
beard, he's got the goatee thing going. It's all good. See.
All right, guys. So we're gonna say good night or good day, good afternoon. We will catch you next Thursday. Say goodbye, guys. See ya.
Yep.
See ya.
Bye.
Good night.
Dire Lord's king of the battlefield.